Welcome to Whose Story Is It?, where extraordinary lessons are hidden within everyday stories. Join us today in revealing the untold stories within a business leader's success. Enjoy as we uncover the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Whose Story Is It? Today we're going to have some fun today. This gentleman is from the sunny side of the U.S. He is, I'm as anyone that knows me, I'm very partial to sunshine. So that's the first thing I think of like what he's experienced versus what I experienced. So it's great to have everyone. Thank you for the 3 listeners that are listening. I really appreciate it. And let's go have some fun. So give us a little bit of introduction.
Mike, thanks a lot for having me here. Interestingly, I do live in a sunny city, right? The America's finest city, I think, is what we call it, San Diego, right? I think, but I was not born in San Diego. I was actually from the East Coast, cool. And so just a skinny kid growing up in the East Coast, right? Getting into trouble, trying to stay out of trouble more than anything, and just found my way out west where was able to, learn some things, meet some people, and start a career.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, New York's good. What year did you how old were you when you moved to San Diego?
Yeah, I was just before 13, so I was 12.
Oh, wow.
Over here.
Okay, yeah. So you went to high school there and did your whole thing? Yeah.
High school, graduated, college, graduated, all San Diego. My accent's gone.
Yeah, I know.
You still make fun of me for it. They say I went soft after I went white.
Yeah, there's really no hint of an accent there. That's good. That's very good. Well, hey, let's get to start. So this is the only question I ask every guest, and that is, how did you earn your first dollar that wasn't from a relative?
It wasn't from a relative. All right, I'm
exactly.
Gonna have to go back here. And so, going back to my early days, I had some entrepreneurial spirit. Like I wanted to do something for myself, right? And earn it. It's just something that feels good, so rewarding, satisfying about being able to make your own dollar. And so what I did early on was just a good old fashioned, buy low, sell high, which is the fundamentals of any business, right? I just, I got my friend Nick, his mother worked at a place where she was able to get access to candy very, very cheap. And
that's good.
I just grabbed some,
there you go.
Got some and then was able to resell it at school to some of the kids. Got in trouble a couple times for it, but
sure,
made a couple bucks doing it.
Yeah, that's good. Good. I actually did the same thing. I remember this. I was in 4th grade. I had to go to the principal's office because I was making. You might know this. They were called tasted. They were toothpicks that you would soak in like mint oil or different oils, and then when you put the toothpick in your mouth, you would taste the flavor, like a mint or spicy or whatever. And so I'd make like 10 and put them in a little tin foil and sell them for $1. I don't know what it was, $1, I don't know, 50 cents, probably 50 cents. And it's, I did this for a couple months, and pretty soon I got called at the principal's office. Couldn't do that anymore.
You're too enterprising.
Too enterprising. Yeah, exactly. Couldn't do that anymore. So tell me, what constitutes a perfect day for you? What's a perfect day in your life? And I'm not saying just business, like just your perfect day.
Yeah, I would say the perfect day for me, or I go by perfect weeks personally. I try to get through.
Okay,
I'm like,
that's
Friday
fine.
Is right there. I'm trying to get to that Friday, getting closer. I think of a perfect day as, what, when I set out to do something, I do it. And that there's something about intentionality that is a big part of who I am and the things I'm able to get done is I do it all on purpose. All right. Huh. And so when I get up in the morning, a perfect day for me, if I know, look, I'm going to work out, I'm going to have coffee, I'm going to do these things.
Yeah.
And those things happen, that feels like a perfect day to me. Now, I don't want to misconstrue that to perfectionist or having everything like OCD perfect. I do actually in my day allow for wiggle room. And the key here is that, as long as humans are working with other humans, weird stuff happens, stuff you don't expect happens. So
sure.
I just give myself a little bit of buffer, but the main things I want to get done, if they're done, then I am smiling at the end of the day and sleeping good at night.
Yeah. just a sense of accomplishment, right? That sense
It
of
is. It
accomplishment.
is.
Yeah.
I am an
Yeah.
achievement junkie.
Yeah.
That's
No,
that's
no question, man. I'm totally with you. There's days that, and we both have them, that we get nothing done. Like, just nothing goes our way. We get nothing done, too many fires, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And man, I'm always frustrated. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I got zero done today that I wanted to get done.
it's a sucky
Like,
feeling. It is
it
a very
is, it
sucky feeling.
is, it is. Cause you like, I want to do, like, there's always a couple things, like even on the weekends, like there's always a few things, like projects I want to get done, like maybe in the backyard or something, like, oh, I want to get this done this weekend. Like, it doesn't have to be big. It could be a couple hours of work. Right. But if I don't get it done, it's like, shit, I got squat done this weekend. Right. So
I'll tell you how bad it is. It's so bad that sometimes I'll even, if I don't feel good, I'll create a checklist of the things I did, and I'll start like checking them off and crossing them off. And just that little bit makes me feel a
yeah,
tad better. Then I'm realized like, oh, actually, I got these 7 things done I didn't even think about, and
yeah,
so it helps change my mental a little bit.
yeah. Would you like to be famous? Like,
You know what? I would not. Here's the thing about fame.
okay, there you go. There you go.
Fame comes with this really interesting baggage, right? That
Sure.
comes along with
Yeah.
it. Now, listen, being a little bit popular amongst your circles and things like that, that's a little different. But I feel, I don't know how to describe it. When somebody knows me and I don't know them, and it's a perpetual thing that happens forever, it creates this dynamic, right? And some people can deal with the dynamic and some people can't.
Sure.
Right. Me personally, I love my privacy. Like I
Yeah.
love doing my stuff. I don't need to blow all my
Yeah.
news to the world.
Sure.
So for me, fame doesn't really attract me.
That's good. Yeah. No. It's interesting how many people say they will or they want to be, but then if you ask them this next question, like, how would you deal with that kind of thing? Then they're as like, oh, I didn't actually think through that all the way. Like, that's the stuff I don't want to do. Well, that's part of being famous, my friend. Like, you can't like not have that happen. That's part of being the position you choose. Here's totally 180-degree off the side of the cuff. Do you have a hunch how you would die someday?
You know what? I do have a few thoughts of how I would go. It doesn't enter my
Okay.
mind every day. But
Sure.
listen,
Sure.
I'm gonna go. Like that is a
Absolutely.
fact
Absolutely.
of
Fact.
in law of
Yes.
nature. Like I'm
Yes.
gonna go, you're gonna
Yep.
go, everybody's gonna
Yep.
go.
Yep.
And so when I think about, okay, well, how am I gonna go? I naturally gravitate towards the old fashioned falling asleep and never waking up again, right? Which is kind
Sure.
of the most
Yep.
painless way to do it. But I'm gonna sound like a sap right now
Yeah.
because I'm a romantic at heart. So if you ever seen the movie The Notebook, I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they just, the old couple, they're holding
Yeah.
hands and they
Yeah.
pass
Yeah.
away at the end together. Like that's how I would love to pass away, with my wife holding hands. We're like 99
Sure.
and we just fall asleep and
Yeah. And don't wake up. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. That's very cool. Okay. Here's a timed question. You got 3 minutes. Tell me your life story in 3 minutes. Now, wait. I got to start my little timer. Otherwise it won't be fair. So you got 3 minutes. I will let you know at 2 minutes. You got a minute left. Okay. So you are on the clock right now. There you go.
All right, life story. Let's go. So where did it all start? Well, I was born, but I wasn't just born, in a normal everyday condition. I was born into the biggest blackout in history in New York City. And so when I was born, there were no lights, right? Everything was dark, looting, craziness. Got through that, fortunately, right? Grew up as a kid, and one of those things about growing up as an inner city kid, you're in a really tight knit Puerto Rican family. You're also trying to navigate the different, things that happen in the streets of
Sure.
streets of New York. So, staying away from gangs, staying away from getting into trouble, stealing, all the fun stuff that kind of creates a nice convenient path to jail.
Yeah.
Did my best because my little brothers and sisters, they were looking up to me, right? My siblings that were younger than me looked up to me, and I took that very seriously. And I don't know how I would have ended up if I was the youngest or the middle child.
Sure.
older child, it just made me, I don't know, feel this this burden of responsibility,
Yep.
but this commitment to be a better role model for them. So being a role model got me out of New York into the West Coast, where I decided to really use my number one skill and attribute that I have that has helped me throughout my whole life, which is adaptability.
Yeah.
I could change and adapt to any situation and scenario. So going through high school, going through college, getting my degree in business, getting an MBA in business, I really wanted to become an entrepreneur, because where else can you really practice that skill of adaptability better than in
Yeah.
running a freaking business, right? So tried a few early ventures in my day, failed. I even launched a startup for horse racing, for parimutuel
Awesome.
wagering.
Awesome.
And it was an online application. This is before AI, which I'm like,
Yeah.
damn it, I was just ahead of my time. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. You got 2 minutes. You got 1 minute left.
I got 1 minute left. And
Okay.
so failure after failure, you just build and take from those things, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I just create these little skill moments where I figured out, okay, this didn't work out, but I built a skill, so let me grab that.
Mm-hmm.
And so begin to plow into more working for companies, corporate America. Spent 20 years doing a bunch of corporate stuff and learning the corporate way and the language and how to navigate, which then led me to ultimately starting my own company. And when I doing that, I took all the skills from all those jobs I had earlier, and I feel like I use them all the time. So now I'm an entrepreneur, a speaker. I love what I do. I have my beautiful wife, my 2 wonderful kids, and the most beautiful thing of all is everything I do that I've set out and planned for is happening or has happened, and that's that perfect day is for me slowly becoming a perfect life, which I could then die happy.
Very cool. That's very cool. 304. Good job, man.
Cool.
Good job.
Cool.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's a harder thing than people think when you're timed, right? When you only do a certain amount of time. Yeah. So you have to like skip some of the stuff you maybe normally would say. What do you do for fun? Like what's the fun in your life? What is that?
Besides fun daddy time, right? My kids are really young, so
Okay.
5 and 10, right? That age where they're
Sure.
climbing all over you, right? I love travel. I think travel is one of my favorite things, and visiting different cultures, talking to folks, trying different food, and just learning a bit about their perspective. Which sometimes when you're in your day to day and week in week out, you tend to hone in, right? And get that there are other points of view out there. So just going out there and refreshing, recalibrating, resetting just feels great. Love it.
That's cool. Yeah, travel. Speaking of travel, I leave for Spain in 8 days.
No way. I lived in Spain for a little while in Madrid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're going to we're flying in and out of Lisbon, and basically taking up kind of a big loop on the western part of through Portugal and then western part of Spain. So a lot of wine stuff.
Yeah. Hit up Galicia if you can while you're up there.
We're up in Ponta Verde.
And make sure you have their octopus. The octopus is phenomenal.
Yeah. No, we'll totally. We just got the hotel last night or yesterday afternoon. So yeah, we're excited. It's super good. Yeah, we're super excited. How has business changed for you since look back 15 years? How's business changed for you?
How's business changed for me, man? So 15 years ago, I was still a corporate lackey.
Yep.
But thinking about it more and more today, my mindset around business is different than it was before. It was all about, when I was 15 years ago, it meant 2 things. For me, it meant, climbing the ladder, getting a promotion, making more money. For the company, at least for my eyes, it meant making more money. Right.
Yeah.
But as I now have been in business for myself, have done business in a lot of different ways, it's a little bit different. It's about the exchange of value. And that could result in money if you do it right and at scale, right? There's this other piece of it is that during that exchange, a lot of stuff happens. Relationships happen, trajectories start to spew out, growth for the people involved, whether the people selling or the people buying, also changes. And so there's a lot of different things that spawn out of this business transaction. So it's more than just an exchange of money to me now in my head. It's really an intersection of of lives and value that then can lead to other things beyond. So it's really transcended, like in my head, over the last 15 years. Now I sound like freaking Confucius and some philosopher here, but the
Right.
point
Yeah,
is
no.
that I don't think business is just about making money anymore. That's my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. No, that's age, my friend.
Yeah, I picked up a few years since. That's
Yeah, yeah,
right.
exactly. That's age. That's totally age. What would you like to change in your business life today? Is there something you would like to change in your day-to-day kind of thing?
Not too many things. I've changed a lot in the last 2, 3 years to really dial it in.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though that from my perspective, there's a there's something that I'm calling the invisible push, kind of modeled after the invisible hand, right, by Adam Smith. But I want to be able to push the company forward without hands. And what I mean by that is creating the right motivators, the right measures, putting the right butts in the right seats so
Oh
those
yeah,
things start to happen. And that way I can architect and push without, having to get in there and, use punishment as a lever or do something myself, which a lot of entrepreneurs, especially early stage, will get into the habit of rolling up their sleeves and doing things themselves. You ever heard of, if you want
oh
something done right, you got to do it yourself? I
yeah,
used to
yeah,
be in that mindset, many years
sure,
ago, and it's changed. And getting things done through others and being thoughtful about it is something that I want to continue to get better at. So I'm getting better,
yeah,
but got more way
yeah,
to go.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a constant battle, man.
Sure.
You just you know, being able to have one confidence in your team that they're actually that's just going to get done, right? That's part of it, and you learn that through obviously being with your team, and part of it is you having the confidence in you having confidence that you can step away, right, and not things don't fall apart, right? And
That's right, Mike. And
there's two things there, right? And it takes a while to get both things.
it takes a while to get
Right.
both things. And so I have
Yeah.
this struggle. I wouldn't say struggle. It's an opportunity for me to get better on when to let something happen versus make something happen.
Yeah.
Let something
Yeah.
happen, make something happen, right? And
Yeah.
it's not, as an entrepreneur, they always tell you, hey, you got to be patient, but hey, you got to be ambitious and drive. Hey, you got to hire slow and fire fast, and you got to do all
Yeah. Yeah.
these things, right? But when you're in the moment, in the reality of things, you have to choose and decide when you want to push and get involved, when you don't.
Yeah.
And the signals aren't always that clear, right? But you just get better and better at it over time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The signals actually aren't clear. That's the problem. Otherwise, everyone would do it, right?
That's right.
You could be able to write, oh, when this happens, do X. What is here's a total curveball. What's been your worst day in the last 5 years? Worst day.
Ooh, worst day in the last 5 years. I would have to say,
It can be business or personal. It doesn't have to be either one.
if I had to scan the last 5 years, yeah, there's always ups and downs in everybody's life, but the one that sticks out in my head is earlier this year, I had someone very close to me pass away. And she was part of my life since I came out during that blackout.
Sure.
And it's an adjustment when somebody's with you like the entire life and then they're
Yeah.
gone. You just, when you, in the very beginning stages, no one ever talks about this, right? The recent texts and voicemails that you have from them,
Oh,
right?
sure.
Or
Yeah.
the following birthday or event where they're a staple and they're always there and now they're
Mm-hmm.
gone. So that was I was really bummed, right? So I would say if I had to scan back the last 5 years, that was probably the biggest one.
That was that day. Wow. And how did you find out?
I
Like, how
found
did?
out my brother called me. My brother
Okay.
called
So
me, told me she's
yeah.
passed, that she's gone,
Yeah.
and I knew it was coming, right? So it
Yeah.
wasn't a surprise, but
Yeah.
but it happened quickly. And when my brother called me and he said, "Yeah, she's gone," and he said it in this really low whisper way that still kind of haunts me a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was trying to cope too, but it was the call, talking to
Yeah.
him, the way he said it,
Yeah.
and it
It's
just
it's
like
what's amazing is that you remember the tone of voice.
it did, it hit me, man.
Right? Like you remember the tone of voice. Like that's something like really like clear in your head and clear, like a very clear memory, which is good and bad, right?
It is good and bad, right? It is good and bad, but you have to move on. You have to make sure that you're not distracted by it. You remember, you honor, but you don't get distracted. You get pulled down, and so I'll keep marching forward. But it was that was a thing that kind of went, ooh, that one is
that's
that
a
one's
stinger.
Leave a mark.
Yeah, that's gonna leave a mark. Yeah. What's the best day in the last 5 years?
I would say the best day is when I will never forget this, when my daughter started kindergarten, and then she just I dropped her off and I forgot to give her a water bottle, so I came back.
Sure.
And then she came running from the other side of the classroom and said, "Look, everyone, it's my daddy!" Right? And just running, little girl love. It's nothing like it.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Look," and she was telling her teacher, like, "That's my dad.
It's my dad."
And so it was the big bright eyes, the sound of it, the giggling, the here he is, that she was so proud of me being in the room, even though it was only like 30 seconds, right?
Sure.
But it was that moment where she was showing me off to all her friends and her teacher that I was just like, oh, that feels really good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? That'll feel really good for a lot of years.
There's nothing like a nice daddy to give you a warm hug. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to feel good for a lot of years. That's another one of those great memories, right? If I was operating a business, like just say we met and I'm operating a business, what is the one thing you would tell me to focus on? You can only tell me one thing.
If I could tell you one thing, the one thing I would say is know what you want. There's nothing worse in a business than a leader that is indecisive and does not know what he or she wants. It sucks. It distracts. It pulls people in so many different directions. You don't know if you're making real progress because you keep moving the goal line. You can't really lay a plan and, plan the work the plan type of thing. You can't really do that if you don't know what you want and you're shifting things around. So I'd say be clear about what you want. Doesn't mean you can't, learn and change your mind and evolve. Like, it's okay too. But make sure your team is feels confident about you understanding where you want to go and you have some conviction behind it.
Yeah. Share with me a embarrassing moment that I will remember.
Oh man, I got too many to pick from. No, I would just say that man, there's so many of them. I'll give you a recent one. That one's pretty embarrassing.
That's good. Yeah, give me something.
It's just the old fashioned, big call, lots of big folks and on the call. And I'll give you two just to cheat a little bit. So this first one here was just the embarrassing moment of just messing up somebody's name royally in front of everybody, right? In front of a huge audience, which I hate to do, right? Because I always want to make sure that I get people's names right. And even my name folks mess up a lot, which I don't understand why. It's pretty phonetic, but
it's pretty straightforward name. Yeah.
It happens. But I would say the one that trumps that, now that I use that previous memory to jog this other one, is I was being promoted and I was meeting my new boss, who was the CEO of a company that we were acquiring. So remember I told you I lived in Spain for a little bit? This is right before I went to Spain. I met so I was having dinner with the CEO of our company and the CEO of the company that we just merged with.
And he was becoming your boss, the new CEO.
The new CEO was going to be my quote unquote boss because I was basically put in charge of merging the products it was an M&A thing, right? So I had to meet him and I was going to be taking direction from him over the course of my time in Madrid in Spain. So I get to dinner and I'm sitting there and our CEO is late, but he's there and I'm there. We're just chit-chatting on the table and there's a really big goblet, just a really big glass of wine to my right. Yeah. And so when our CEO comes in the room, comes into the restaurant, and he slithers through the tables and comes behind me and says, "Hey," and sticks out his hand, and then I go to, I kind of take my hand and swing it up to shake his.
Oh, and hit the wine.
I knocked the wine all over his shirt and pants.
Which guy though?
My new boss. He was sitting to my right. He was sitting to my right, and I just completely whacked wine
It
all
was
over him.
red wine, I guess. Red
It
wine.
was red wine, and it was at the beginning of dinner, so I had to sit there the whole time just seeing the red stains all over him. And this guy, by the way, this guy's from Spain. He was like dressed to
Dressed
the
nice, right?
nines, like
Yeah.
super
Pressed
nice
shirt.
suit.
Pressed shirt. Oh yeah, yeah,
All his hair is perfect,
yeah,
like he
yeah.
put in very, very Rico Suave, right? And it was
Right.
just, and I just dropped this whole thing of wine all over him. I just felt that was our introduction to each other. It was very embarrassing.
And how'd that relationship go over the next? Probably pretty good, huh?
It went super well. No, he was
Yeah.
good. He laughed about it. He was a good sport, right, at the end of the day,
Sure.
right? But
Yeah.
it was a good way to say hi to somebody. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Exactly. You always have something now. You have something in common, right? You're like, you know.
I would fun apologize to him later on. I was like, hey, I'm so sorry about
Yeah.
the
So
wine, and he would
yeah,
just
yeah.
chuckle, right?
You just chuckle. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. What in your opinion, what if anything is too serious to joke about?
Hmm. You know, you could joke about a lot of things, make light of a lot of things, but I think the one area that I always stay away from, or if somebody makes a joke about it, I kind of squint and say, it's probably not an area you want to mess around and joke, is whenever there's like a disability involved, like a learning disability,
Oh,
whether it's mental, whether it's physical or something
physical.
like that. Like, I don't know. I just like they can't help it. It's the way, the cards they were dealt and what happened. And I'm not a big fan if somebody is, say there's a someone with Down syndrome buying something at the store and somebody in line says something and makes a
Yeah,
comment and chuckles about it. Like, I just don't think that's cool, right?
yeah,
So I don't know. If that's the one no-go zone. You could joke about many things with me, but that's one of the areas I'm not a big fan to joke about.
yeah, yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
How do you stay motivated in your kind of business world? What gets you up in the morning? Like what keeps you kind of moving? And I can tell obviously by just chatting with you that you're driven. What keeps the motor going?
I wake up every morning with just a little fire in my belly, and I'll tell you why. This is going to sound a little funny, right? But growing up as an inner city kid, mom is single and trying to take care of you, single mom, and you don't get a lot of opportunities. You're probably written off typically at that stage, right?
Yeah,
So, growing up and getting into different schools and achieving different things and winning scholarships and just continue my little small
yeah.
but steady climb up, you get a lot of folks that doubt you, right?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you'll be all right, but he's not going to
yeah,
really accomplish anything of
yeah,
note or anything like that. And as you keep making, the thing is, as you keep making these small steps forward, they don't go away. It's almost like they begin to morph a little bit, and it's more subtle, like the hints that they make. Oh, you're
yeah,
great for
yeah,
for where you are or for your age or for these things, right? They'll kind of throw
yeah,
these little comments at you, and so I think I want to do things. I want to have impact. I want to add value, and I want to do much more than folks gave me credit or expected. And it's not necessarily for them, right? But there's something about me that wants to never even consider the moment that if I were to pass away in my sleep, holding my wife's hand at 99
sure,
years old,
yeah.
I would never ask, what if? I
Oh
could have
yeah,
done this, right? I should have done
should
that.
have
Or
done
man,
that. Yeah,
wouldn't it have been nice if I would have accomplished this? Like that is a very suffocating thought in my mind.
yeah,
So I wake up and I want to accomplish this, folks. There's the satisfaction of doing it when they thought you couldn't, but then there's the self-satisfaction of saying, I did everything I could. I laid it all out there. I'm
yeah,
ready to rest.
yeah. That's good. That's really good. You made me think of something when you said doubters. The doubters come in your, you know, and so after my, I remember this like yesterday. Seriously, I'm sitting in the locker room at the end. It's either the last day or the second to the last day of school that year. Would have been my freshman year in high school. In my high school, he would have been I guess he was the freshman coach, basketball coach, right? And so, in freshman, we don't know what the hell we're doing, freshmen.
I did.
Most of us didn't, right? And so, I at that year, I figured out that I really liked playing basketball. Like I really enjoyed it, and I thought I believed I could be really good at it, right? For whatever reason. And because up to that time, I just loved football and played football all the time. And so I was sitting there and I was talking to Dan Cholos, is his name. And I said, Coach Cholos, I'm going to be on this varsity team next year. And that was unique to be a sophomore on a varsity team. It was not a normal thing. And he's like, well, a lot of kids say that, but, probably not, kind of thing. And that stuck with me, right? And I did. I was a sophomore. I actually started. I mean,
you did it.
Yeah, I did it. Totally did it. And so when I graduated high school, I came back to Cholos and I said, hey, you won't remember this conversation because it meant nothing to you. But into my freshman year, we were sitting in the locker room and you said this to me, and this is what happened because of that. Like that made these things happen, because the burn for me was, there's no way in hell I'm going to let that guy tell me the truth. Like, that isn't the truth. It's my truth. It's not his truth. Right. So yes, that was a super, just that little thing, right? That little bitty thing, that little sentence.
And it had to be satisfying to you, though. It had to be satisfying to go up and say, yes, I did that.
I did that. Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't ever say it till I was a senior. I actually was. I was very good by the time I was a senior, but I didn't say it when I was a sophomore. When I didn't kind of throw it in his face. I waited till I was a senior and I said, hey, this is one of the reasons why I am who I am. So yeah, it was a pretty cool moment. It was nice to be able to kind of say that, right? Hey, in the next 5 years, what chapter in your life do you think it will be? If you could name 5 years as chapters, what would be the next chapter, which is the next 5 years? What would that chapter be about for you?
I think the next 5 years for me would be really shifting my mindset to internal things that I've ignored for a couple of years. And so to get in this stage, you sacrifice a lot of things: sleep, health, diet, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And you start realizing that, those things are short-term, quick sacrifices, but they have long-term implications.
Yeah.
And so there's a bucket list that I have. All right. So the name of that chapter in the next 5 years is going to be more me. It's going to sound selfish, right?
That's right.
But more
totally
me.
Right.
I have a bucket list of things I want to do, from places I haven't seen yet, from things I haven't done yet, from people I haven't met yet. And I want to make sure to integrate as many of those things in the next 5 years as possible. And so that's what the next 5 years is going to be about.
Very good. Very good. Well, Marcos, give us the real introduction. Give us the normal introduction.
Great. Well, my name is Marcos Rivera, and I am an author, entrepreneur, speaker, loving dad, tech enthusiast, fitness enthusiast, and all things in between. I'm kickback from San Diego, but I'm also pushy from New York City. So I got a bit of different parts of my personality. But look, I love connecting. I love people, and I love growth, all sorts of growth. And so from my perspective, I really enjoyed being on your show. You really helped me talk through a lot of different angles, which a lot of shows don't do. Hey. And so I had a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to, checking out this episode. But thanks for inviting me on. This was great.
Yeah. No worries. Tell us about your company. Give us some details about your company.
So I am the CEO and founder of a boutique consulting firm called Pricing.io, and we do monetization growth strategies for technology companies. So think about a tech company that doesn't know how to license their software or price their marketplace or anything like that. We figure all that stuff out. We do the research, and we can build a model and all those fun things. And it's very, very nerdy, rewarding work. It's also high value. Companies make millions after we're done. So
sure.
From our perspective, it's a great place to be. It's a nice little niche.
I'm curious, how do you price your services? I'm just going to go on a limb. I'm going to guess you value price it.
That's a great guess. So we do value pricing. It's not as easy as it may seem, especially for services, right?
Sure.
And so what we do is we price based on expected impact and a very high ROI to the client. And so it's going to have a factor of how big their revenue is, how many products or markets they're in, so how complex their problem is. And then we create a price that is easy, fair, And then what we do is we spread, and there's how can I put this? There's alignment between what they pay and what they get at the end of the day.
Yeah. There's yeah. Interesting.
My philosophy is simple, fair, keep it easy. People don't like to try to do calculations and crazy algebra while they're trying to figure out what to pay. So I try to keep it straightforward, but the value is kind of punches you in the nose because it's so obvious.
Yeah. It's not like they don't see it, right? That's the beautiful thing about your business, right? Is because it is about results. Like it's pretty cut and dry, right? It's like
pretty cut and dry.
It either happened or it didn't happen.
Exactly.
Not that hard to understand. Either happened or didn't happen. What is what's the thing you've become clear about as you've gotten older? What's like?
Mike, I think what's gotten clear as I gotten older is that you have to embrace imperfection, right? Yep. There's always this kind of motivation to like fix all your problems and solve all these things that are wrong with you or wrong with your kid or wrong with society or whatever.
Sure.
But, I think it is part of being human. And I think the idea here is I've realized that you separate kind of the person from either the situation, the process, the product, the game they played or the test score they got or whatever that is. I get to just separate those things out a little bit and not, not over-index on those things. So I've learned it's better to separate people from these other things. And then if you want to fix something like a really bad test score or a really poorly played basketball game, focus on that and not try to pull the value of that person into it because people are valuable no matter what, no matter who they are. It's just, I think sometimes that natural association of things, bad test, bad person, right?
Sure.
Bad game, bad player, right? And just, I just think that it leads to unintended consequences. So I've learned to separate a lot more in my life.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Well, you do. I'm going to guess you do. What would you say your superpower is or your gift?
My gift, I'm going to cheat because I mentioned it a little bit earlier, is I can adapt to almost any situation. And my ability to reframe and just, reset, accept, and then create a new path and change is some people even use the term like chameleon with me a couple times, right? Because I could be in a room full of, high powered CEOs. And also I could be in a room with, a bunch of hip hop heads listening to music and jamming and,
Sure.
Going open mic and freestyling and all that. Right. So I can hang with a lot of different crowds. I can shift around a bit. And that's been a very big blessing and power for me. But there is one curse that comes with that. And the curse with being highly adaptable is that you don't really get the chance to see how far you can go with something because you're constantly changing and adapting to something else. Right. And so there is a little bit of unfulfilled potential there, or at least a bit of naivete. Like I'm not sure how far or how good I can be at something because I switched to something else. So there's a little bit of a downside that I'm aware of. But that ability to adapt has saved me and got me out of so many jams and troubles in my years.
Yeah, being able to communicate to different crowds, right, is it's important, especially if you're in any kind of heated crowd, right? That you're like, I gotta work my way out of this one. This is
diffuse the situation, exactly.
Yeah, diffuse the situation, get out of that one. Is there any one thing you would like to tell the audience? Basically all business owners. Is there anything you would like to tell them? I know you do a lot of speaking, you do a lot of cool stuff, so. Is there one thing you would like to tell kind of the audience?
Yeah, I think I would say to the audience, business owners out there, which, tend to have a lot on their mind, a lot on their shoulders, a lot of stress. I would tell them that it's going to be fine. Right?
It's going to be okay.
But there's so much anxiety that comes in because your mind is playing, thousands of scenarios that could happen, right? That might happen. And you're doing that to protect yourself, to protect your company, to do all these things. And so from my point of view, it's having this very consistent, realistic optimism that it's going to be fine. You may not have the answer today, not even tomorrow. You
Sure.
probably screwed something up. You probably made a bad hire. You probably
Sure.
lost a big client, right?
Yeah.
You probably goofed the next release. Whatever that is,
Yeah.
it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Acknowledge it and fix it. Let's move on. Let's keep plowing forward. It's going to be fine. I wouldn't take any one singular negative thing and extrapolate it out too damn far. It's
Yeah.
just a waste of energy in my mind,
Yeah.
right? So it's going to be
Yeah.
fine.
It's funny that I do a lot of kind of reading and research around just people, how they make decisions, right? Just decision making in general. And one of the things is that 90% of all the stuff we think about when we're making a decision never happens. Because it's
That's
all
right.
those what ifs. It's all those what ifs. I do this, blah, 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 and like, oh, like, and you just, some people just go way far, too quickly. And some people are too optimistic. Like I would consider myself many times too optimistic, not always, but many times too optimistic. So then I don't go far enough. Right. So, there's that balance, but what's funny is like in decision making, 90% of the decision is crap. It never happens. It's unlikely to happen. Like all those things, it's just like, it's just that is like the decision making is so powerfully influenced by all those things you said. Like, well, it could happen, might happen. I did last time I did this happen. Like, right.
And it's a natural thing. And it's, by the way, I mean, we tend to over-index on the last decision as well, which as a
Yeah.
human,
Sure.
it can be, it's a survival mechanism at the end of the day, right? But what you just said makes a ton of sense. And from my point of view, being optimistic and with some realism, like that balance is the
Yeah.
key. If you think you're the best salesperson in the world, but your close rate is below benchmark, you got to say, hey, I got some good things, but let's look in the mirror and say my close rate is not where it should be, and that
Yeah, it
needs
needs
to
to be
be
better. Yeah,
right.
exactly. Well, I have to say this has been very, very interesting for me. Hopefully for you as well. But I really, really enjoyed it. Thanks for taking 45 minutes today. Like I said, deeply appreciate the time. If there's anything I can do, happy to help. But it's been great. Thank you for being a guest, and the best of luck to you and all that you do, man. You're a good human. I got to say that you're a good human.
Oh, Mike, thank you so much, man. You're a smart, good dude as well. And when good humans get together, good things happen, right? At the end of the day. So I appreciate you letting me come on here, just spew out a little bit of my thoughts, share a little bit of my perspective. And it was a lot of fun. Would love to do it again, man.
Okay, you got it. Well, that's a wrap on another episode of Whose Story Is It? We grow our audience mostly through friends sharing with friends. So please share this with a friend you care about. And of course, share it on your social media. We love that. Also, if you think listening to the podcast was entertaining and valuable, then please subscribe to next week's episode. So keep moving it forward and join us next time as we continue to uncover the extraordinary in the ordinary. Have an amazing day.